What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome to Bills HQ, where we talk all things Buffalo Bills football and NFL. I am your host, Julian Mott, and today I just want to talk a little bit about Josh Allen and his supporting cast. And the question that I've posed today is: does Josh Allen have enough help? Is the supporting cast around Josh Allen good enough? Is it acceptable? Are we upset as a fan base that we've invested so much on the defensive side of the ball, and it seems like on offense we've basically said, "Go ahead, Josh, do it yourself." Or maybe we feel like he's got a strong enough supporting cast around him, and that he just needs to play better. I think it's a little bit more in the middle, but yeah, let's break it down. First of all, I just want to mention the two losses from last year. Two old guys. Two guys that weren't, until a couple weeks ago weren't even playing football. One of them still isn't. But Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley. Now let's touch on Sanders real quick, only because obviously he's got the shorter history with the Bills. But Emmanuel Sanders, while not the explosive player that he was in Denver, of course, provided something that I still think the Bills haven't replaced, and that's just that savvy vet that really knows how to get downfield. Like, I feel like Emmanuel Sanders was just so sneaky in his ability to get downfield. There were multiple long touchdown passes to Emmanuel Sanders, and not because he's a burner and he's just blowing by guys, but because he's a savvy vet that knows how to get open. He's got good technique, and he catches the football when it comes his way. Right? We lost him, and then you bring up Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley. Let's remind people. Cole Beasley was an All Pro in 2020, an All Pro, top one or two at his position. Now, last year, Beasley still caught over 80 balls, had over 100 targets, was an incredible safety blanket for Josh, even if it was just catching the ball and going down. It provided something. Now, of course, we as a fan base, and it seems as though even the Bills thought they could upgrade, and it has not worked out. And now, when we talk about whether Josh Allen's supporting cast around him is good enough or not, let's go ahead and start with that slot position. A position that I think really helped Josh ascend to the player he is today. That 2019 season, when you bring in Brown and Beasley, you bought in something that Josh did not have his rookie year. Sure, McKenzie was there. We had a couple okay receivers, but there was no one who was consistently getting open in the middle of the field and creating these easy pitch and catch opportunities for Josh Allen. Cole Beasley did that. They also really didn't have a guy that can get open deep. John Brown provided that. But to stick to the slot, in 2019 when Beasley came, it just offered something different. And obviously Josh liked it. And so we moved to 2020 and Beasley's an all pro. 2021, he takes a decent step down. So that brings us to 2022, where we decide to move on. Now, of course, there may have been other factors, in terms of moving on as well. All the COVID stuff, uh, of which he's, I don't want to say apologize because, maybe in his mind he doesn't need to apologize, but he has acknowledged that he could have done things better. And as a fan base, I think we could have done things better as well. But when we lost Beasley in 2022, we bring in Crowder. Now, before the season, I was big on Crowder. He was coming here 2 years younger than Beasley when he got here. He was a little bit more explosive in terms of his ability to separate from man coverage. And I just thought he was gonna come in and maybe not just be Beasley, over 100 targets, over 80 catches. So I didn't expect him to just be Beasley. I did expect him to come in and play a big role, and it didn't happen. Now, of course, he's hurt, and he's been hurt since the Ravens game. Has it been since the Ravens game? He's been hurt, but he's been hurt. But even up until that game, he had 14 catches, maybe a little bit less. Let's check. Let's check. Up until that point, when Jamison Crowder got hurt, he had 13 targets for 6 catches. 13 targets, 6 catches, 60 yards. He's been hurt, but that's about 3 games of sample size. He wasn't really doing anything. He wasn't really doing anything. Which brings us to our guy, Isaiah McKenzie. I'm a big Lil Dirty fan. I'm a big Lil Dirty fan. I think in terms of what he offers to this locker room, I think he's a big asset. I think he's playing much too big of a role in this offense. There's really nobody else to do it that's a vet anyway. You know, they seem to want to slow play Shakir, who till this day, when was this updated? Till this day, Shakir, 18 targets, 9 catches, 174 yards. That's 13 games played. Remember, he was a healthy scratch for a couple games. So they don't seem to either they don't seem to trust him, or they just don't want to give him that expanded role yet. I'm not sure, but they're not getting it from Shakir. So it's got to be McKenzie. McKenzie has never been a full-time number 2 or 3 option. And we heard Shope talk about this constantly, like, why are we just expecting this guy to come in and be the number 1 slot guy? Maybe get over 80 targets, maybe have over 60 catches or 50 catches or something like that. I think that was unrealistic. And I don't think the Bills wanted that. I think they thought it was going to be a split time. We are going to split the slot between Crowder, McKenzie, and Shakir. When we feel comfortable enough to put him in there, we'll put him in there and have him running. It just has not materialized. And that brings me back to Beasley. They need somebody who is able to read the defense and sit down in those zones. I'm watching Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen, and they're just playing pitch and catch in the middle of the field. Any third down, like, he's finding Keenan Allen because he's open. He knows where to sit. He knows where to be. And when the ball gets there, he's catching the football. It wasn't a whole lot of yards after catch with Keenan Allen either. He's getting a little older, but he knows where to be. He knows how to find the zones, how to find the voids in the zones, how to sit there, catch the football, keep the chains moving. That's what it's about. And McKenzie is not able to read the defense like that. And I remember them talking about the slot position and how that does require more mentally. You got to be on the same page with Josh. You got to be able to see what those linebackers are doing. You got to be able to see what those safeties are doing. If they're blitzing, you got to make sure, like, you're the hot read, man. Like, if they're in zone and they're blitzing or something like that, like, you got to find the voids. And McKenzie struggles with that. And then his hands are inconsistent. I don't know. Maybe you can just charge it to the fact that he's thinking so much about what he's supposed to be doing on this play based on what these defenders are doing that when the ball gets there, it's too much. I got to do all this and then I got to catch the ball. You know, it's tough. Like, playing the slot position is tough. Not that I've ever done it, but from what is said, that position requires of you. It's one of the tougher positions to play when you're a receiver. Huh. All right. Let's say all that to say that slot position leaves a lot to be desired. They're slow playing Beasley coming back in. Hopefully, we can get him more involved. And even if we get Beasley from that very last the last playoffs game against the Chiefs, even if we get that Beasley, that is going to help. Let's look at Isaiah McKenzie's numbers real quick. So for McKenzie, I'm seeing 40 receptions, not bad, 62 targets, 404 yards, 7.5 yards per catch, which seems kind of low for me. Okay. This is the number I want to see. McKenzie, 121 yards after catch. It's not terrible, but McKenzie's so dynamic with the ball. Like, you'd think we'd be better. You'd think we would be better. That's all right. That's all right. Let's move to Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is one of the more frustrating players on this whole team. And I understand he's been dealing with an injury since week 2. That ankle is still bothering him, apparently. It's gotta be. It's gotta be because if it's not, Gabe Davis, and I am a novice. I did not play the receiver position. I only played football up until high school, up until 12th grade. I didn't play in college or anything like that. But Gabe Davis has got to be one of the weaker route runners in this league. I mean, he's got like 2 routes that he's like kind of elite at. And all the other routes are just to be desired. And it's crazy because we saw Diggs and Davis run the same route like 1 or 2 drives apart, right? It was an out route. Like 1 or 2 drives. So let's look at Gabe's numbers. Let's look at Gabe's numbers. So Gabe's got 83 targets, 45 catches. I don't like that. I don't like those numbers. 83 targets for 45 catches. I don't know what the league average is. I don't know what the league average is, but he's got to be near the bottom for catch percentage. That's almost 50%. Half of the time the ball's thrown your way, you catch it. Let's just compare it to Diggs. Instead of 83 targets, Diggs has 144 targets. And they basically have the same number. Diggs' number is almost lower. Diggs has 101 catches. 144 targets, 101 catches versus 83 targets for 45. And the catch percentage is way higher for Diggs. That's a number that's got to be better. It's got to be better. Allen's got to have better success throwing to Davis. And I don't think it's about Allen. I think it's about Davis. Gabe's got to be better at separating, and he's got to be better at the catch point. I heard Joe Marino the other day talking about how kind of weird his hands are at the catch point. And I'm sure it's just something he's been doing, but you've got to separate, got to catch the football. And I think those are 2 things that they're struggling with. Like, the Bills got a lot of credit for their ability to adapt and move away from maybe plans that they had and do it quickly. 2018, Josh's rookie year, they're like, we got a quarterback that's struggling a little bit with his accuracy. We need a big, early receiver that can go up and catch the football. So we bring in Kelvin Benjamin. Trash. Absolute trash. Bad move. As a matter of fact, it wasn't that bad of a move because he did make a couple plays that actually helped us win a couple games, namely in that 2017 that I'm sorry that that 2018 game. Not trash. It was trash. I was trying to put a nice little spin on a can. Trash. So what does Brandon Bean do the next offseason? It's like, all right, we need to go get some Smurfs, as McDermott called them. I don't think they said we need to go get a bunch of short guys, but they said we need to get guys with decent speed, but more importantly, guys that can separate. That's why they bring in Beasley. That's why they bring in Brown. They've gotten away from that. They do not, other than Diggs, they do not have separators. Davis is not at all a separator. He can run away from you sometimes, but he's not a separator. He's not gonna just line up. I'm gonna just get open. Like he does not do that often. McKenzie struggles. He struggles and he only runs a few routes. Like I'm trying not to get upset. I'm trying not to get too upset. I think Brandon Bean. I think he failed Josh Allen this offseason offensively. Because when you talk about supporting cast, you can talk about the defense. They've got a dominant defense. Yeah, a good defense. Yeah, maybe not dominant. Not without Von Miller and Micah Hyde, but it just seems like they did not do enough this offseason. Now, everybody has holes. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's reeling this time of year. You know, the Chiefs, I mean, I don't know, their supporting cast isn't that great other than Kelsey. You know, they scheme guys up. Now we didn't talk about Dorsey. I mean, I'm not gonna touch on Dorsey too much. I don't watch enough film. I don't break that stuff down. So we're not gonna talk about Dorsey because it's tough for me to even know what he's calling. You know, and what Josh is audibling to and stuff like that. But I'm gonna close out with this. I'm gonna be with Jeremy White on the first round receiver train, right? We need a number two. I mean, take this team that we're playing on Monday, the freaking Cincinnati Bengals. They have number one receivers, two great number one receivers. Jamar Chase is a beast. Higgins. Oh my goodness. Or let's take a stroll around the AFC East. The Dolphins. Hill and Waddle. What? The Eagles. Oh my goodness. Devontae Smith is nice. Devontae Smith is super nice. We need our Devontae Smith. We need our Jalen Waddle. We need our T. Higgins. We need somebody. Now, granted, we did not have anybody like that the last 2 years. We didn't have a Waddle. We didn't have a T. Higgins, but we just had so many different weapons that could do different things that the passing game was overwhelming. So you got to do either or. You either got to give them a couple big time receivers, or you got to surround them with multiple really, really good weapons that can separate and catch the football. And they have neither right now. They have a dominant number one receiver. Of course, we didn't really talk about Diggs because Diggs is great. And obviously I think Diggs is doing enough. He wants to be doing more, but he's doing enough. We got to get that number two down. We got to get that slot down. So again, at the end of the day, every team has flaws. Every team has things that they need to work on and things that they're going to want to improve upon on the offseason. And every year, at least one team overcomes those flaws and gets that chip. Let's just hope our Buffalo Bills are that team this year. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Bills HQ, who will be doing a kind of a primer on the Cincinnati Bengals coming up. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. That'll do it for me today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the night. Bye-bye.